Man, thank you for doing the show.
Good to be here, bro.
I did 2 of your yoga sessions this morning for...
Jamie, back up.
Yep.
What does that say?
What's that?
What does this say?
It says...
DDPY.
Yes.
Why? Why am I branding it DDPY? So instead of DDP Yoga, it'll always be DDP Yoga. But why am I branding it DDPY? Because I don't want people to stop calling it just yoga, because now that you've done it, is it like anything you've ever done before?
No, and that's what I wanted to say is I've been a fan of your wrestling forever, and the principles of behind like why you were doing the program I admired and I liked so much. However, I did not know I'd fucking love the program so much. Like, and I do yoga. Like, I'm mainly a jiu-jitsu MMA guy, but I do yoga. And so I was like, all right, I'll do a couple of these before the interview just so I know what the deal is.
Right.
It was so fucking good. And unlike anything I've done, you're totally right. And I think that what I expected, and I'm sure you've gotten this before, but anytime something's marketed for like guys, and I know yours, it's always like, it's just, oh, it's a guy yelling at me. You know what I mean? It's like, all right, I'm going to do downward dog, but like DDP is going to call me a pussy and I'm going to feel bad about myself. And dude, you are like the most compassionate, good, detail-oriented teacher.
Thank you.
It was it was really unexpected how it's tough mixed with compassion, which is what I think people need. And so I wanted to bring that up first because I didn't want people to be scared away and be like, oh, I don't need a professional wrestler yelling at me while I'm in child's pose.
You know, and the biggest compliment I've ever gotten, like, you're an athlete, like,
yeah,
you're in shape, like, you're doing it to stay in great shape, you know,
yes.
Where so many of the people, like disabled veteran Arthur Borman,
Yeah,
you know, who was 5'6", 297, it took him 20 minutes for his wife to put on his sleeves on each knee, put the knee braces on, the sleeves over that, hook it to his back brace,
yeah,
then get the cuffs and start hobbling to the bathroom. He'd been doing that for 15 years.
yeah.
So for me, as I'm going through it, reminding you, it's okay to step in.
Yes.
It's okay to lower your knee. So many people have come to me and said, thank you so much for developing something that I can do. And what's really amazing, the guy, Vance Hines, who was 475 pounds day one when I meet him, a year later, he's down 198 pounds. More importantly, he went from doing my chair force workouts, where you sit in a chair all the time.
Yeah.
Then he went to my stand strong workouts, where you hold on to a chair and balance and build strength and flexibility and help you get up and down. Today, he does every psycho workout I can do.
That's so cool, man. And yeah, that was something I noticed too, which is even though the workout was good for me, and I'm telling you, people know I don't even have sponsors on this show specifically. I say no to them because I just don't like the idea of, you know, corporations being able to tell me what to say and blah, 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 blah. So this sounds like an infomercial, but it's when I find something that I know can help people, I really do want to hype the fuck out of it because yeah, you were always really gentle about the modifications. I loved that sometimes you did the modifications, you know, like sometimes you meet jiu-jitsu coaches or MMA coaches who are wonderful and train with the students, but sometimes you meet the ones who kind of have that ego and want to be the master that, you know, no one questions. And what I loved about you is you're very good at yoga and also at DDPY, obviously, but you've been fucking wrestling forever, so your body's broken. And we were both doing, it was so funny, I didn't notice you were doing it, but the workout I did, I have to go on my fist because my wrist is messed up from jiu-jitsu, and you were doing it on your fist because your wrist was messed up. And like the humility mixed with the knowledge I was just, all I wanted to do was this podcast so I could tell people to do this, because I recommend jujitsu to people because I think it really is life-changing. I think that mentally it's so good for you. But man, I do forget that even at my worst, even when I was drinking a lot, even when I was out of shape, I was never to the point where I couldn't get up. And when I was watching the doc you did with like Jake Roberts or some of these stories, you just forget that getting someone up and down off the ground can be fucking difficult.
Right. I'm going to hook you up. I wish I knew where it was. I'd run. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I got to show you something.
This is great. Guys, I'm not going to press pause. I'm going to narrate this. DDP just ran into the kitchen. He seemed very excited. Hey, can we talk about how I fucked up 2 seconds in to the interview and called it yoga? And I was like, please don't yell at me. All right, what you got?
This is something I just bought a boatload of them to sell on my DDP yoga site.
Yeah.
I'm going to send them to you.
Oh my God.
They're called bear blocks.
Okay.
Now this is what they come across out like this.
Yep.
And you grab here and you grab here.
Holy shit.
Oh, Jamie, I'm going to change your life.
Oh my God.
Now you've still got the push-up, but you don't, like, the wrist thing absolutely helps. But when I saw this, I have an instructor in Canada. His name is Dr. Marcel Doré.
Yeah.
He's an MD. He is not only certified level 1 for me, he's certified level 2.
Yeah.
He wanted to learn what I was doing because it was helping him so much that he teaches it. And before COVID happened, he did this huge, when I went there, we drew, it was at the time, the biggest workshop I drew. It was 172 people working out with me at the same time.
That's so cool.
His classes average 100 people.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to get this guy to send him to you. So if you want to check him out, go to DDPY.com for you. But I'm going to send him to you. And what's really cool is they do that and they come together.
Oh, that's perfect. Dude, I'm going to bring that to my class just because every time I'm like doing it on a fist, I feel like the rest of my body's getting off balance and then my other side starts getting fucked up. So that is a game changer. Well, I want to talk about I think what I'm going to come back to a lot in this interview with wrestling, with mental health, with DDPY, I'm not going to fuck that up again, is the mental aspect of it. And you actually just brought up COVID, which is hard not to talk about in interviews. And it's interesting because for me, this is the healthiest I've ever been. It's the most I've been meditating. It's the first time I've done yoga consistently. I'm outside in nature more. But it was kind of a do or die moment for me because like my life was shitty before COVID, like literally right before COVID. I had a breakup. My cat died. It was just one of those moments where I could have spiraled, especially when COVID got added to it. Right. Or I was like, oh, I got to come out of this stronger. I got to step it up. And I haven't always made that choice. And I think we're seeing right now, a lot of my friends and a lot of listeners to the show have done that. They saw this shitty opportunity where they go, all right, I'm stuck inside. I'm stuck with this. I can't do my normal workout. It's harder to cook. At least it was in the beginning. What do I do? You know, I'm reading more. I'm getting up earlier, all this stuff. But then there are a lot of people who, the second there's an obstacle, we're kind of trained that the thing you do when you relax or the thing you do when things get tough is you fucking drink or you order a pizza or you zone out and watch Netflix or whatever. What are your thoughts on that for kind of when you do hit those moments where you have to choose? It's like either the easy unhealthy thing, which will give you those dopamine hits in the beginning, or sort of the long-term plan.
Well, after those dopamine things hit and you have that like, then you feel like total shit.
Totally.
Like I talk to everybody like what is it? The Bible says treat people the way they treat they treat themselves or whatever. I'm like, that's like the golden rule. I'm like, no, I'm the platinum rule. I want you to treat me the way I treat myself.
Mm.
I treat myself awesome. I know most people treat themselves like shit. They talk bad about themselves. They pull them down, being the victim. A great show on Netflix. It's called Coach.
Something. It's new, right? I just saw the preview for it. Yeah, so it's about I don't know the name of it either, but it'll probably be on the front page. It's about all like these like 5 or 6 world renowned like Olympic coaches, basketball coaches. I think it was like Serena Williams coach. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet, but it looks fucking great.
First one is I love this guy. I've always loved him. I loved him on the court. I loved him coaching. I just feel with him, and now I really know why, which is Doc Rivers, and he's the first one who just got let go by the Clippers. But you know what? The Doc will rise somewhere else and take another team on to be world champions like he did the Boston Celtics, because he's never like he talked about. First of all, he grew up with 2 parents, which I didn't. I got bounced around like a pinball until I was 8 years old. But bottom line is, I never let me be the victim.
Yeah.
I always figured out, okay, what's the positive side of this? Oh, getting bounced around like a pinball? I'm the most adaptable motherfucker on the planet. I can hang out with fucking CEOs of top 500 Fortune 500 companies. I also can be hanging with my boy Chuck Zito, who used to run the Hells Angels.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Are you a good person? Do I like you? Do you have good energy? That's what it's about to me. And Doc Rivers, in this show, that the first one's about him, he talks about his mom and dad not being the victim. Never going to be the victim. I don't let myself be the victim, ever. And I never thought about it like that until I watched that. And I thought, wow, that's brilliant. Jake Roberts was the king of being the victim and pulling himself down with every drug you could think. And his life and his childhood. And when we started, and if anybody hasn't seen it, it's on Amazon Prime.
It's phenomenal.
Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Watch it. Has nothing to do with wrestling. It's about 3 wrestlers, but it has nothing to do with wrestling. It's about, I wish I could have, Josh Brolin saw it and sent a text to one of my other executive producers on the film. It was so beautiful what he said about the movie, the documentary, how it was about brotherhood and love and friendship, and patience.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that I did without really thinking about it, but now after seeing that show last night with Doc Rivers, it really resonates with me. Jake would go into his growing up, his childhood, and how he was abused by his stepmother and just all the fucked up shit. He'd start talking about it every time. Now, when he moved in with me, Yahoo Sports, Deadspin, HBO Sports, Real Sports. We were interviewed. It was mind-blowing to me. But people couldn't believe that I brought 2 addicts into my home, but I never looked at it like that. Right. I looked at these 2 guys, Scott Hall and Jake Roberts, were hugely they were very pivotal in my life in what happened to me early on. Yeah. And I wanted to help them both back because they really, really helped me. And Jake was the first one to ever believe. I didn't start wrestling till I was 35.
Oh, we're going to talk about that later. Yeah.
We'll get there. Well, my point is, we were doing the interviews. And finally, after like 3 times in a row, it clicks on me. And after the interview, I said to the guy, "Can you hold on 1 second? I got to talk to Jake for a second." I pull him aside. I go, "Bro, why the fuck do you keep telling that story about all the negativity that happened in your life? Like, they know that now.
Yeah.
What about all the really good shit that's happening? What
Yeah.
about you? Like, of your 8 kids, 3 of them are talking and want to talk to you again.
Yeah.
You're not going out and working for $500 now. Now you're making like $2,000
Yeah.
just in a period. Now he's like 5. But back then I'm like, from 500, and nobody would book him because they were afraid he wouldn't show up,
Right.
or he'd be too fucked up. So now all that's changed. Look at all the great things. And he came back in, and that was the beginning of him not being the victim. Another thing that happened, and this was never in the movie, because we had cameras rolling all the time.
Yeah.
That's why we had such great shit. But this day, there were no cameras. And he came into the kitchen, and he literally punched the marble counter, and then like hurt his hand.
Oh no!
I am so stupid. I am such a loser. I looked at him. I go, bro, what's the matter? What's the matter? And he started to tell me. I said, stop. Because I knew he was going back in that victim cycle. And I pulled him aside. I go, come here. Let me show you something. And I walked him into one of our bathrooms, and there's the mirror. And it's looking at him. I said, what do you see? He goes, a fucking loser. I said, stop fucking saying that.
Yeah.
Look at your shirt. And if you see that movie very early on, you'll see he's wearing it, but he never wears it again. What it is a white t-shirt, and in red print, it's a skeleton, and he's waving a flag that says, wasted youth.
Mm-hmm.
I said, every time you look at that t-shirt you're wearing. Every time you wear that t-shirt and you go buy a mirror, you remind yourself that you fucked up, that you wasted your youth, you wasted your 20s, you wasted your 30s. You keep giving yourself that image. I go, you wear shirts with fucking Manson on them. I go, would you like any of your kids to be anywhere near that guy?
Yeah.
Fuck no. Why would you wear him?
Yeah.
He's a scumbag.
Yeah.
You should have shit like positive energy on your chest. And he walked away, and he came back a half hour later, and he'd go, D, I'm going to have Robert. I just talked to him. He's making this shirt for me. And he'd written out and said, my history's not my destiny.
Oh.
That's it, bro.
Yeah, man. Well, and I want to say, I have a follow-up on that, but first I also want to say, just for people who may not know you or haven't seen the movie yet, a lot of times in society, the people who are talking about don't be a victim. They don't have the compassion and follow-through that you have. And what I mean by that is, in the movie, something that really struck me was how even when Jake relapsed, how compassionate you were. And I actually really looked up to that because I've had alcoholism in my family with parents, and it wrecked me back then. And, the way you handled it with such grace and compassion was huge. So I just want to jump in case anyone is thinking like, oh, why is he like blaming the victim? You're not. Where a lot of times the people who are like, oh, don't be a victim, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, are also not willing to do anything to help. And so, you know what I mean? Whereas what you're doing is you're like, hey, don't stick to that fucking narrative that you're a piece of shit. Because honestly, I think the reason that people, and you can speak to either of these things, but I think the reason that people hang on to that, when I did it, for example, when I was like, I'm a piece of shit, or I'm just like depressed, or whatever, I would use that story because when I say that story out loud, it's giving me permission to act like a piece of shit. And what does a piece of shit do? Well, a piece of shit drinks, a piece of shit doesn't train, a piece of shit, sets the bar really low. As opposed to when you say, I'm really going to try, I'm going to pick myself up, I'm not defined by my past, that kind of puts some pressure on you where it's like, okay, well, now I got to do the work and now I got to fuck up. So I think that might be one of the reasons why people do have the victim mentality. It gives them permission to keep acting out and keep hurting themselves.
And people, like I said, remember, go back to what I said. I don't want you to treat me the way you treat you.
Right.
Because I put nothing but amazing tasting, healthy food in my body.
Yeah.
Most people put shit in their bodies. They talk shit about themselves. The one thing that I really learned, and I didn't really understand, because my father's an alcoholic.
Okay.
Now he doesn't drink anymore, and he's still going at 85, and he's pissed that he's still alive because he's so beat up. Because he's
Right.
so beat up,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, if he could push a button and be gone, he would be.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, Dad, that's good for you.
Yeah.
Because I know you don't really want to live this life anymore anyway.
Yeah.
And haven't for a while. So I get it. But when it comes
by the way, I was afraid my mom was going to go down the same path, and she got sober and she started meditating and doing like a little yoga routine. I'm going to send her your site, and game changer, man. She's just like completely lit up now, where if people just saw, if you just get over that hurdle and you take care of yourself, you can turn around so fucking quickly mentally, you know?
It's what we put in our body. Please, if you really care about yourself, there are 2 movies you must watch besides Resurrection of Jake the Snake. One's called Food Inc.
Yep.
It won the Oscar in 2007. It's sort of like your introduction to what they've been doing to our food since 1996. And people can have arguments about it. It's kind of like abortion or politics, whatever. But I know from experience, you're not living my life. You're not working. I got a guy right now. His name is Justin Dobbins. 6'7", started 20 months ago at 698 pounds.
Holy shit.
The first 12 months, he lost 175 pounds. He got down to 524, just changing what he ate.
Yep.
And walking.
Yes.
But his body hurt so bad from the walking. And then he knew who I was, and he heard about what I was doing, and he got my app, and he started in the chair.
Yeah.
I mean, my workouts start off in bed.
Yeah.
With bed press.
I did that one too.
He started in the chair.
Yeah.
And then he went to using the chair. In 20 months, this guy at 6'7" has lost 387 pounds. So that's 400 fucking pounds.
That's insane.
You know, in a year, a little bit more than a year and a half. Like your whole life can change because so many people, I got to lose 30 or 40 pounds. Who cares about the weight? Let's focus on your health, your fitness. You want to know what you're eating. Watch Food Inc.
Yep.
And then find Genetic Roulette. I have a site called teamddpyoga.com. Anybody can go. They go, they sign up, they like it or whatever, and they can go on. They have to be approved. Everyone's approved. But on that front page, I found Genetic Roulette, and I put it up there because it was like on YouTube or something. And I put it up there so everyone could see it. When you see what they did to our food and wonder why obesity, heart disease, cancer, diabetes have all gone through the roof. Like, it's what they did to the food.
Hey, what's your thought on, for someone listening to this who wants to make a change, and it could be little. It could be, I don't even think I have a drinking problem, but I don't want to drink for a while, or I just want to stop eating fast food or whatever. What I noticed with me, and I would love your thought on this, is the times that, let's say I would just eat garbage. I would eat like a pizza by myself, or I would drink or whatever. And I knew I wanted to change, which is good. That's the first step. But I would send emails to myself where I'm like, don't be a piece of shit, like start working out, like stop, and I'd be really mean to myself. And I noticed that didn't help. That backfired a lot of times.
Yeah, I see why.
Yeah. When I wrote myself, but I thought it was me being tough. Like, I thought it was me being tough on myself. But when I wrote myself, like, even if I wasn't there yet, you're an athlete. And as silly as it sounds, like, I'm fucking 38 and I would write myself like, be a badass or whatever. And when I framed it in a more positive way, it got me to make the first step. Once I start making the first step, I see the results right away. You work out, you don't want to eat shitty, or you don't eat shitty and you have more energy. So you go work out, whatever. Do you think that the mental game is almost a first step? Or do you think that no matter where they're at right now, no matter how they're talking to themselves, they just need to throw themselves into the fucking fire and just start doing the work?
How I found Arthur Borman, the disabled veteran.
Yeah.
How I found him. And let's just do this for your viewers, because I got this in my hand. I just have my
Cool.
iPad right here. Let me show them who Arthur Borman is. And Arthur Borman, this is in 2007. Okay. That's when we started our journey. Anyone who got my program, it was just DVDs then. Didn't have any food, didn't have any inspirational stuff. It was just me on DVD. This is, anybody who got the program, what I would do is send them an email. I sent it. I wrote it, cut and paste, and I sent it out. I'm sure they all thought I just automatically got sent out, like it does today.
Yeah.
Back then, I sent it. It was just me.
Yeah.
And what I said is, hey, I just want to thank you for getting the program. Not trying to sell you anything. You already invested in it, and I want to say thank you. And I got 5 questions. And again, thank you for believing in me. And Arthur answered these questions amazing. So it's the first guy, Jamie, I had ever answered back. And this will all come into what you just said.
Yeah.
I answered back and said, hey, man, thank you so much for these incredible, detail. It sounds like you need some help. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Cliff notes were disabled veteran, 100%, morbidly obese, and I've relegated to thinking of myself as a piece of furniture. So I say to him, send me some pictures so I can see what I'm looking at. So this is the first picture he sends me.
Yep.
And this is the other. Now, when it comes down to knee braces, I wore those my whole career.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know he's wearing a back brace, but those cuffs, those canes, I thought his main goal back then, he was 297 pounds and 5'6". The VA would not operate on his knees to help him out until they got under 250. So that became our goal. Yeah. Lose 48 pounds, get under 250. And so we start the program. I sent him this eating plan I got from a guy named Dr. Fred Bishop. I've done it, lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks, got super stealth. Right. And I knew if he just stuck semi to it, he'd lose the weight. So bottom line is, I sent him the program, the eating program. Now, if he writes back, I think I can do it, I'll give it a try, I would have wrote back, awesome, keep me posted. Yeah. But he didn't do that. He said 4 powerful words. I can do that. Oh. I said, send me your phone number. Amazing. That's the first person I ever talked to on the internet. Yeah. The first month, Jamie, and this is all documented by his son. Yeah. That's why we had that great film. Yeah. His first month, he lost 32 pounds. The second month, he lost 22. The third month, he lost 18. That's 72 pounds in the healthy way. Yeah. 3 months. Yeah. He would lose 140 pounds. More important, he lost the knee braces, back brace, and canes, not just to walk, but run. Now, check this out. This is him day 1. Yep. This is him 10 months later.
Holy shit.
Day 1.
That's insane.
10 months later. Now, Jamie, I call these the 6 pictures because forget about the weight loss. Yeah. Look at him here. Yep. And here.
Oh, my God.
Here and here. Hold on.
He was doing the toe touches fucking better than I was.
And here. Now here. Now, this is my favorite one. This one. I'm like,
Yeah.
Arthur, why is your son holding you? He said, because I'll fall.
Oh,
Not anymore.
oh, that's so cool.
From this guy to this guy.
Dude.
So 1 year to the day, bro. He's 5'6". He took a picture of him and his 6'2" son.
Yeah.
Now, this is what DDPY is. This is what it's all about, bro. That.
Oh my God. That's so cool. Also, shout out for the cat as well. That made me like them even more. Dude, that's fucking incredible, man. And like, these stories are so important for people to hear. We're not going to talk about politics, I promise, especially, but like my Twitter feed last night.
On that note, bro.
Oh, yeah.
I saw this and I laughed. What the hell happened here? I saw this and I laughed my ass off.
It's so good. Yeah, it was just so depressing. And I had this moment after the debate, or I think I tweeted something a couple minutes into it, where I'm like, this is evidence that it's up to us. And it's up to us to be kind to each other. And it's up to us to take care of each other, because they're not going to do it. And I don't want it to sound like I'm being apathetic with politics. I have my views that I've been clear about on the show, but I think that there are people on the left and the right who get so obsessed with politics and tweeting and getting pissed off and angry and saying things like, oh, we're fucked, the world's over, blah, 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 that they start being shitty to people in their day-to-day life. And where you can really make a difference, like what you're doing, is with people in your day-to-day life. And if we start ignoring them just to angrily tweet at Trump or at Biden or whatever, we're kind of losing the whole purpose. Does that make sense?
100%. And I want to finish answering your question, because the main reason I brought Arthur up.
Oh, yeah.
When we talked after that first 2 weeks,
yes,
he lost like 20 pounds and 4 inches off his stomach. And I didn't want to tell him, hey, bro, the reason why you lost 4 inches off your stomach, because you're not bloated anymore.
Right.
You know,
right.
I want to take that victory and hold on to it.
Yeah, of course.
And I explained to him, I said, as important as the workout is, as important as the eating plan is, it's 10% of the equation. 90%?
Yeah.
Right here. I wrote a book about it called Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It. And the first chapter is called Living Life at 90%, based on the theory that life's 10% of what happens to us and 90% of how we react to it. And that cat owned it at a whole different level.
And he did it right away too, with that email to you. And I'm sure that's why, I know that's why you called him, where so many people will give themselves an out in the beginning, where they're the most inspired. I'm ready. You think you can do it? Maybe I can do it. And it's like, fuck, you're already giving yourself an out. And man, I mean, I've talked about this on the show, but it's true for me. Like this year, like my life crashed and burned. There were maybe 8 years ago where I was like, I was the guy on the comedy lists, you know, where it's like the comics to watch. I'm the weird guy when you see those lists where everyone else is super famous now. And you're like, oh no, what tragic thing happened to this poor fucking guy? And that's me. And this year, you know, with the breakup, I was broke for the first time in my like 10 years. Like it was so bad. And when I started just being like, I'm just going to take care of myself. And man, it's I wake up every day happy. And the majority of people, myself included, would wake up every day with just that pit in their stomach, that anxiety, that, you know, like not wanting to go on. Like I was suicidal. It was so bad. And once it's so hard, but it's so simple. Just you tell yourself every day, I'm going to try to be a better person. Every day, I'm going to try to make other people happy. Every day, I'm going to try to be happy, or I'm going to be happy. And suddenly the career started taking off again. Suddenly, and I wasn't even focused on that, by the way. I was focused more on, I want to wake up early. I want to meditate. I want to go to jujitsu, blah, blah, blah. And then all of the other shit. I left LA and my career is better now that I'm in like fucking Arizona by myself, alone, single, you know, my agents, whatever, and everything I just did on my own. And I think it's just because of that attitude switch. And people wouldn't think, oh, if I eat healthy, I'm going to become a better comedian. It's like, no, if you treat yourself decently, you will excel in those other parts of your life.
I'm going to give you, everything comes down to what you asked me was, what is the story you tell yourself?
Yes.
That is what Positively Unstoppable, the art of owning it, is all about. Owning that inner voice. So I'm going to give you a quote, and let me see if you know who said this quote.
Yeah.
The repetitions of affirmations leads to belief, and once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Have you ever heard that before?
I've heard like variations of it, but I haven't heard that.
Do you know who said that though?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so now let me break it down for you, because when I tell you his affirmations, it's going to blow your mind.
Okay.
So let's break it down. The repetitions of affirmations leads to belief. That can be really good, or that can be really fucked up.
Right.
All right. And the best example I could give would be going from when I went into the Hall of Fame in WWE in 2017. It was the biggest day of my professional career ever. And I thought about it a long time, what I wanted to say, who I wanted to thank, who did I want to thank. And I wrote like a 27-minute speech.
That's like what I do.
The bottom line is when I got what I was told right before, the day before, you got to cut it to 15.
Yep.
And I was like, no, fuck. So I went in and did it. And then I got a call. They want to hear the 27-minute one. So they came up, they heard it, they popped huge and said, just don't go over 30. And I was like,
great.
Okay. So now all the pressure's on me. I got the #1 spot. I haven't, in my brain, it would have been very easily for the message, the inner voice to be, dude, are you fucking crazy? You got like almost a 30-minute speech. You're going to try. What if your iPad fucks up? What if you fucking freeze? What if you get in your head and you haven't been in front of 20,000 people in 15 years? Are you That could have been my inner voice.
Yeah.
The only inner voice inside my brain was this. I am going to blow everyone away.
Yep.
This is going to be my finest day ever in our art of professional wrestling. I'm going to make them laugh. I'm going to make them cry. I'm going to inspire them. And that's the only voice. Now, I've got 2 of my daughters and 2 of my stepdaughters, who I consider all my daughters. And they're all with me, going to walk me up there.
Oh.
And so, and one who's like 16 at the time, like, God, what if I trip on the way out there? I go, baby, you're going to be fine. I'm listening to Eric Bischoff give me one of the best introductions I've ever heard.
Yep.
And I'm catching pieces of it while I'm talking to them, while that voice is and breathing. Talk about meditation.
Yep.
I'm not great at meditation, but I'm working on it. Yep. And that's what people should say. Oh, I suck at that. No, I'm not great at it today. I'm working on it.
Yep.
And it's something I do every day. I work on it. But my breath, I own my breath at its highest level. Before I walk out on that stage, I am literally going from breathing in for 3 and out for 3, and then to 5, and then to 10. As I'm walking on that stage, I have stopped counting, but I know I'm breathing for 20.
Yeah.
Like one breath. Because instead of your brain doing this, it's doing this.
Yep.
And I walked out there. It was the best thing I ever did, because the repetitions of affirmations leads to belief. And once that belief becomes that deep conviction, things begin to happen. So I'm going to tell you what the quote was. I should say what the repetition of the affirmation was. And tell me if you know who this is. I am the greatest. I'm the greatest of all time.
Whoa.
I'm so pretty. No one can beat me. Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee.
Holy.
You knew right away though, right?
Oh, I mean, I was literally wearing my Muhammad Ali shirt this morning, and I changed because I'm like, I'm gonna look like a dork. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Oh my God, that would have been. because I just said, look at your shirt.
Yeah. But by the way, that shows you that we could have had that moment, but I didn't own myself, and I wasn't like, I'm gonna wear my Muhammad Ali shirt. Yeah,
Dude, I'm wearing it sometimes.
oh, it's so funny, man, and it's true. And I think people, the more skeptical people or cynical people, I should say, think that when they hear about positive affirmations or whatever, and look, there are a lot of charlatans that also talk about positive affirmations,
Yeah,
or
right.
where they think it's going to be magic. And it's like, no, it's not magic. It's that if you repeat it over and over again, you actually believe it. So it enables you to do things that you thought were impossible. I mean, it's funny, last week I got emotional about him for the first time on the show, because I don't talk about him a lot, but I'm recording my first album in like a decade, and the person who helped me the most was Robin Williams, and he helped me with my depression. He helped me with everything. And I remember finding out he was in San Francisco, because he lived there, or outside of San Francisco, when I was doing a show there. I had no right. It was the first time I was headlining in San Francisco. There was nothing that made me think I can get Robin Williams to come see me. But I remember walking by the wharf and just being like, I know he's going to come to the show. I know he's going to come to the show. Now, that didn't magically make him appear, but what it did is, when I believed it, I go, oh, wait, fuck. I know this guy who knows one of his friends who likes me. And so then I called him, and I wouldn't have called him if I went, Robin would never come to see me. So then when I called him, he called the guy was with Robin came to my show, and like my career was, that was that.
Magic.
And it wasn't magic. It was just believing that it could happen.
Right.
Made me realize, oh, I can make this happen. And then you take the pragmatic steps. And that's what people don't think. So they blow it off because they go, oh, what? Like it's going to make God or whatever. It's like, no, it's going to enable you to do the fucking work to make the miracle happen.
You just said it right there. You do the work. And that's where they fall.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to fail. Why even start? I'm going to fail. Like, everyone fails.
A lot.
All the time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not failing, you're not succeeding.
Yes.
Because you have to fail. Friggin', I was just watching something with Denzel Washington, who I love.
I love
and
him.
He said Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times, more than any player ever. No one talks about that. No. He's Mr. October. He won one World Series after another with his bat that he struck out with.
Yep.
2,600 times.
Yep. Yep. Well, I want to bring up the wrestling thing. So before I ask you about it, I will give back a little. Here's my meditation advice for you, which is the thing that was a game changer for me. When I tried to meditate, I couldn't do it. I was in my head. I have ADD, blah, blah, blah. And this like New York Times bestseller meditation teacher taught me. She said this. Her name's Emily Fletcher. And she said, you're not meditating to be the best meditator. You're meditating to be better at life, which I really like, because a lot of times people, it's good, right? Because people will think when their mind wanders that they fucked up at meditation. And it's like, no. You're building the muscle. Just like if you're lifting weights, you're like breaking down your muscle and then letting it recover. Every time your mind wanders, you can actually see it as a good thing, because the muscles get built when you bring the focus back to the breath. When you go, oh shit, I was spacing out. I was thinking about when I gave the fucking diamond cutter to whoever, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
And so when you bring it back, that's actually, you're acquiring the skill. It's not about, because people think, oh, monks just have their heads are totally clear when they're meditating. If that's not it, I'm doing it wrong. It's like, no. Everyone's mind fucking wanders, and then bringing it back every time, even if it's, you have to bring it back 30 times in 5 minutes. It's like, that's what's actually building the skill.
Dude, that's brilliant. And that's what I'll think about moving forward.
Yeah.
I want to be better at that.
Yep. And that's what it is every time your mind wanders, instead of, like you'd say, instead of being like, fuck, I fucked up, be like, cool, there's the thought. That's what all those fucking apps and meditation teachers mean when they go, watch the thought, don't judge the thought. in athlete terminology, it's no. Every time you bring it back, that's that's another rep. That's another fucking bump. That's another whatever. And so, yeah, so I had to start thinking of it like an athlete. Because other than that, I'm like, this is stupid. I want to go do things. I'm just sitting still and my legs are uncomfortable. Okay, so with wrestling, your name has come up every time I talk to one of my WWE friends, AEW friends. Your name comes up because, hypothetically, I, more than anything in my life, have wanted to wrestle. I am 38. I have now, the things I have going for me, jiu-jitsu, MMA, and stand-up. So, like, I've performed since I was 17. It is so crazy, the idea, especially because my career is going well, to even attempt, let alone train, let alone whatever. And every time I talk to one of my dudes, they'll be like, DDP, man, he was 35. And I always forgot that, because when I started watching wrestling, you were kind of just this superstar. It was what it was. Like, I didn't think about the journey. I didn't think about, I remember before I left LA, I trained for a little bit with Brian Kendrick. And I accidentally showed up to the pro class, but I did really well and did a bunch of stuff I should not have done. And he was like, you can stay. But everyone was just like young and hot. And I was like 5'7" and old. And, but I fucking loved it, man. I love being around wrestlers so much. When you started late, I mean, we can just jump into the mental part of it. I feel like if you are getting hurt, if you are fucking up, because wrestling hurts so much more than people think it does.
Oh, man.
When you're 19, you go, all right, these are the stories I tell. I'm taking my bumps. I'll get better, whatever. If you're starting at 35 or 38, you're kind of on more of a fucking clock, where if you take a flip bump wrong or you hurt your neck and you're out, your first thought might be, this is dumb. What the fuck am I doing? I need to stop. You know what I mean? So what was that like, starting late? Did you even realize you were starting late, or did you just have the grit where you didn't give a shit and you were just going?
Well, here's the back history. I tried to wrestle when I was 23. I had 3 matches. I sucked. I hurt my knee. I was going to be out for a couple of months, and I got my first opportunity to run this little rock and roll bar. I was 23.
Whoa.
I've been in the bar business since I was 17.
Okay.
So I loved the booze, the broads, and the party.
Yes.
And once you start managing, you're getting laid left and right.
Right.
I don't care what you look like. As long as you got some game, you're good to go.
Sure.
And I kind of got lost in that, just having too much fun. I ran huge clubs.
Yeah.
Huge clubs, like 1,200, 1,500 people in the club in Asbury, New Jersey, and in Florida.
Oh my God.
And
what? Forget wrestling. Teach me how to run bars. That sounds more fun.
that was a lot of fun. What happened though is when wrestling blew up in the early 80s, because when I wrestled, it was 1979.
Oh my God.
So when 83 came around and wrestling started to take off with the Cyndi Lauper shit, I was so mad at myself for not paying my dues.
Right.
I knew I would have been in the middle of it all. I just knew it. And I stopped watching. And then one night, I was just flicking the channels like this. Remember that?
Yep.
And up comes this Gorilla Monsoon with this dude with a leather coat, crazy glasses, do-rag, and it's Jesse Ventura. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Amazing. And the first guy to come out, this is no God's honest truth, the first guy to come out behind the curtain, he's got a bag over his shoulder. Fu Manchu. It looks like the baddest motherfucker alive.
Oh my.
And when he went out there, like, to me, even though I wrestled three times and had some schooling, and I know it's a work, but I never made it to the show, like, his shit's real. Yeah. Like, I don't care about anybody else. That motherfucker, like, he's real.
Yeah.
Like, he's really in this shit. And his promos, his shit, it sucked me right back into wrestling. So I'm in my club in Fort Myers in 1986. And I'm in the back. And we're packed. There's 1,000 people in the club. And I'm looking at the front monitor of the people walking in. This guy walks in, long hair, Fu Manchu. He's fucking a giant.
Yeah.
I run around the outside of the club, right? I go to the front door. I go, Judy, did a guy walk in here just look like Jake Snake Roberts? He's like, yes. Everybody thinks it's him. I go running in like a mark, see him, slow down. Slowly
take those deep breaths.
Yeah. And I'm 6'4", he's 6'6", you know.
Oh,
and I said, hey, man, I go, you Jake Snake Roberts? Who wants to know?
Oh, my God.
I said, the guy who runs this place. He goes, absolutely. What can I do for you? I said, what are we drinking? And that's how I met Jake. And if you have to understand, Fort Myers is down on the bottom of the west coast of Florida. If you're wrestling Tampa, which was up above, 140 miles, or Miami, it was 300 miles to go from Tampa to Miami. It became a layover. I have a picture of $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, upside down, and I've got a bottle of tequila in a stream is heading upside down. Shooters were doing after hours.
Oh, how the times have changed. I love the idea of in the 80s you giving Jake a drink, and then in the 2000s you taking it away.
So amazing. And what happened is all these guys kept coming in the club when they were coming through from, Jannetty and Michaels and Bushwhackers. So people I would throw into my commercials, I had used rubberized voices, and then I'd go like, yeah, Wednesday, yeah, dig it, don't miss it, hot legs, yeah, thinking, you shouldn't miss it. And people thought, like, is that Randy?
Oh my God.
They seen them. And Randy never came in, but I could do Hulk, Randy, Jesse back then.
So funny. You were like serving my childhood booze. Like everybody you just mentioned. I was like, Jesus.
It was so much fun. And then one night I'm sitting in the back and I'm talking. One of my boys come in and he heard me talking about wrestling. And I said, yeah, I tried it as a kid. And he was like, well, what was your name? Everybody's counting money and everybody's drinking, right?
Yeah.
And I said, well, back then, it was Handsome Dallas Page.
Love it.
And fucking he burst out laughing. He goes, man, you can forget about using that gimmick right now. And everybody started laughing. And that night, this is crazy, but that night, I can't stop thinking about wrestling now.
Yeah.
And we're drinking shots now of Goldschlager. That's how we're telling you we're in the 80s.
Jeez.
And we're drinking and having a good time. And I start writing on a pad, Dimond Dallas Page. And then I write down Diamond Exchange. And I go to the guys, I go, I'm too old to be a wrestler. I was 31 at the time. I said, but what if Jimmy Hart has the Hart Foundation. What if I was Dimond Dallas Page and I had the Diamond Exchange?
Yep.
And how about this? There's no really hot women in wrestling, except for Miss Elizabeth, but she's like girl next door hot. I said, what if I had a whole stable of ladies? I called them Diamond Dolls, and they were stripper hot. Oh, that'll be a stretch. Oh, shot, drink. And I wrote it all down, and then I just let it go.
Yeah.
A week later, they're interviewing me for this little segment called the Party News Network. I still have this footage. And they filmed me in my 62 pink Cadillac. They filmed me in the studio. I'm wearing a WrestleMania t-shirt. I'm out of the business.
Yeah.
I'm wearing a WrestleMania t-shirt. At some point, they interview me in my club. And I'm sitting at that desk, Jamie. And at some point, they say, so where does the voice come from? And I look down. And I see Dimond Dallas Page, the Diamond Exchange, the Diamond Dolls. And there's a pair of white sunglasses sitting right next to it. And if those sunglasses aren't there, I don't know if I do it or not.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I grabbed them and I put them on, and I said, "The voice comes from Dimond Dallas Page. Did it? I was born to be a professional wrestling manager."
Oh.
And I took them off, and we kept talking. Somebody saw it. I ended up doing this radio show with Captain Lou Albano, with
Whoa.
Slaughter, and then I decided, with Smitty's advice, to make a videotape of me and 3 guys who wanted to be wrestlers. One I called Big Bad John, one I called Rock Hard Rick, and the other was a midget I called Teddy Bear.
Great.
And he came out with the Diamond Dolls. I made this videotape, sent it to the AWA. 2 weeks later, they called me.
My God.
And they're like, "We want to bring you and your guys in for a tryout." I'm like, "Oh my God." He goes, "But we've got one question. We've shown your tape around and everybody, they like your shtick. Where are you guys working at?" None of those guys can wrestle. What? Well, it's like a secret society. No one can figure out how to get in. And it's like, "Don't call us, we'll call you."
Wow.
And what happened is Paul E. Dangerously, better known today as Paul Heyman,
Yep.
his real name, he left the AWA, went to the NWA, which would become WCW, and it left a huge void for a young guy that could talk. And once they brought me in, they called me up, bring those crazy clothes. I wore leopard skin jackets and zebra boots and holes in my jeans.
Oh, that's
Fuck
great.
you and rock and roll shit, man. I was a guy. I was a guy who looked like a rock star, ran a nightclub, and wanted to be in wrestling.
Oh my
Like
God.
my mother-in-law, my first mother-in-law, was like, "Oh yeah, I'll take 2 of those."
Yeah. Perfect. So wait, so before we get to the physical stuff, because I've never talked about this on the show. So I have a really similar, up until now, similar but different story. So when I was about 22, so all I wanted to do was wrestle, did the backyard wrestling thing. When I was 22, I think you're friends with him. I think Stevie Richards had a school in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he did.
And it was like a warehouse or something.
Right.
And I went there because I was a fan of his, and because I was like a big ECW guy. And I went there, and he wasn't there, but he had a trainer, and I was just dead. Like I was like, this is horrible. I was in so much pain. I thought I'd be good because of martial arts, and I bailed. And then went on the road, comedy, divorce, sleeping around, all that, drinking, blah 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 blah. And then, probably around 35, a bunch of wrestlers just started kind of following me on Twitter from like after I did Rogan, and suddenly, kind of like you at the bar, instead of feeling like it was this world. Now you look like a fucking wrestler. I don't. I'm small, but there's something about, oh, they like my comedy or they like my performance and I like their athleticism or whatever. So it makes, just like you at the bar when you're hanging with these guys, it puts you sort of at this level playing field instead of feeling like they're these superheroes that are so far out of reach. And then I literally just told fucking Kyle O'Reilly from NXT, I told him the other day, I go, maybe I'll manage, like exactly what you said. I'm like, oh, I can be a manager, and then I'll like train a little bit, or maybe I could write. But secretly, I'm also like, well, if I'm gonna manage, I should really like know how to like bump well, and like I might as well just train. And so I think I'm gonna start training this month or next month. I'm gonna start training. And so now you have this manager gimmick. How did it get? And then I gotta let you go. But how did it get to the physical part? And once that happened, back to the beginning, what are you telling yourself on those shitty days of training? What are you telling yourself when, you know, you turn 37 and you take a bump wrong? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on through your head? How determined fucking were you, or how much did you know that it would go from to wear leopard skin pants and be a manager to where you got to fucking a Hall of Fame wrestler?
Well, I never thought it was going to happen like that, only because I knew how old I was.
Yeah.
And I was doing the AWA, but I worked one day a month, and we filmed 4 TV shows. And then Dusty Rhodes came back. He left the NWA because it was going to become WCW, and they wanted him to be a heel. And the American Dream was never going to let that happen. This is a great picture of me and him from back then. That's 34 years ago, bro.
Holy shit. And let me say really quick, speaking of the Rhodes family, just like you said, you were flipping through the TV accidentally, what got me to be like, fuck, after decades of not watching wrestling, like not watching wrestling since Attitude Era, since all that, is I heard about this thing called AEW, and I watched that, and I was like, oh, there was something different, and it just hit my heart in a different way. And I wrote a piece called "Wrestling is Real" after Cody and Dustin fought.
Oh, what a great match!
One of the greatest things I've ever. I'm literally, after not watching wrestling for a decade, I'm in tears watching. I'll send you the piece, but I wrote a piece all about it. And so exact same thing. So anyway, I'm so sorry. I had to get that in.
No, dude, that to me is the match of the decade.
Yep.
And everywhere.
Yes.
No one is going to match that.
Yep.
Not that intensity and the fans. It was white hot.
When they were chanting for Dusty in the beginning, I was like, oh, I'm going to be crying for the next 20 minutes.
But, they both have transcended and have their own destiny now. They've created, both of them have Hall of Fame careers. They're just amazing. But back to the Dream.
Yes.
He brought me into Florida Championship Wrestling, and he took me under his wing. He loved me, man. He's one of the closest people in the world to me. And when he went to WWE, did the polka dotted thing, came back to NWA, and now WCW, he brought me in as a manager. And after about 8 months of managing, I finally got a contract about 5 months in. I was just making $300 a night, no guarantee of anything. Right. And he kept me busy enough to be able to pay my bills.
Yeah.
And at some point I created Scott Hall, new gimmick, which became the Diamond Stud, which really was Razor Ramon before he ever went there.
Yeah.
And he'll be the first to tell you that story. But the bottom line is that I'm managing the Freebirds, and I'm managing Scott. And Scott told me, he said, D, you're so over the top, it might come back and bite you in the ass. And then one night, we're doing TV, and Magnum TA, who was Dusty's right-hand man. By the way, I moved back my next thing back because we're going to keep talking for a little bit here.
Oh, my God. When I saw you look at the phone, I was like, I got to wrap this up. I should have brought up wrestling earlier.
I just moved back.
Oh, you're the best, man.
So I said, Magnum comes up to me, and he says, listen, I was doing play-by-play. Bischoff was doing play-by-play. I was doing color, on the 4th string show, Superstars or whatever, seen in Moose Breath, Iowa at 2 a.m, syndicated shows like that. We're going to let you keep doing the color, but we can't let you manage anymore. And I'm like, bro, why? Like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
I'll fix it. He goes, you didn't do anything wrong. I go, then why can't I do it? He goes, the hair, the clothes, the bling, the dolls, the rap, like no one's paying attention to the boys the way they need to. Like, it's not your fault, but you're taking too much attention away from them. And I look at him and I go, Magnum, are you telling me that I'm too over the top for professional wrestling? and he says, D, it's not your fault. What we should have done was put you in a pair of boots and tights and see if you could do this. And he kind of laughed because, dude, you're 35,
Right.
and walked away. And like I knew exactly what I was going to do the minute he said that. So now, my last time, I'm managing the Freebirds. Two of the greatest talkers, human beings ever. Jimmy Jam Garvin, Michael P.S. Hayes, and I'm at the curtain waiting for them. And as they come walking up, I go, you guys heard it's my last day managing you, right? And he goes, yeah, D. He goes, I'm sorry, man. He goes, but you know how it goes. And I go, it's good. I go, it puts me in a do or die situation. Yes. I said, I never got into this shit to be a manager. I got into it because I wanted to wrestle. I said, I'm going down to power plant and I'm going to learn how to wrestle. Now, Michael's been wrestling since he was 16. Yeah. Jimmy's been wrestling since he was 17. They're both in their mid-30s at the time. They looked at each other. No bullshit, Jamie. They started laughing so hard. Hayes literally fell on the ground, like holding Jimmy. Like it was the funniest thing they ever heard. And I said, fuck you. And I went to the ring. Yeah. Now, here's the answer to your question. Now I'm down that power plant. Like today they have the WWE Performance Center. That's like the elite of the elite places to train in. We're training in a warehouse with 3 rings and it's fucking freezing. Like there's no people. There's no adrenaline. Now you got to learn how to hit that mat flat. And before they ever teach you that, they're going to make you do 10 sets of 50 squats. Like Hindu squats. By the time 50, 10 push-ups, 50, 10 push-ups. By the time you get to 150, your legs are like noodles. Now, I knew this. So I've been training. I didn't do it right away. 3 weeks of crazy training. So I got to 350 and then I was noodle leg. I got to where I could do 1,000, but not in the beginning. And the first couple of times I hit that mat that was freezing, I swear to God, the first thing came in my head was, man, this fake shit hurts like hell.
Yeah, dude. I just want to say where so many people, I mean, up until I was older, when you watch wrestling, especially when you're a kid and you're like play wrestling, like I would play wrestle with my brothers, is you fantasize about going to the ring and you're like, oh, I'd be able to do all the suplexes to my brother because you think the ring is going to be like pillows and the ropes. Right. I had no idea the fucking ropes would hurt. Where the ropes were like fucking goddamn elevator cable. It's insane. Nothing about it doesn't hurt. It's crazy. And I think some people are still sort of surprised to hear that. So you're taking these cold bumps, and did you?
Well, here. Let me cut you off. Let me rake your eyes. I can't tell you how many times over that next 3 to 6 months that I would hit that mat wrong. And I thought to myself, oh my God.
It hurts so bad.
Do you really want to do this? And then I just
flip.
Yep. Yes. And I would say yes, yes, yes. That's all I say, yes. Like out loud and to myself.
Yep.
And I made at 35, even, I don't give a fuck, 42, I was the best shape. No one could blow me up.
Yeah.
Nobody. And to me, it was a badge of honor. Like, I'm going to blow you the fuck away.
Dude, I love that. That's huge for anyone who's listening, who's not even about wrestling, just about your life. Where when I was competing hard at jiu-jitsu, I was vegan, and whenever people would make fun of me, I'm like, oh, great. This is just, I get to beat you, and you're bigger, and I'm vegan, and you're stronger, and you're younger, so I did that with jiu-jitsu, because I started jiu-jitsu. I mean, now I've been training for, 12 years, but I was still late to that party too. I was like 27 when I started, and I'm going against all these like, you know, like 16-year-old or 19-year-old Brazilian studs who are like sleeping on couches so they can make their living with jiu-jitsu. And it sucked at first, but then it got to the point where I was like, if I can do this now, like those challenges and hurdles, they fucking fuel you if you do it the right way. Where it's like, yeah, okay, I'll be 38, but I'll be better than the younger guys, and that'll be my goal.
Here's what you'll be. You'll be smarter. Because, and I want to, before I get into this, I want to say, if I could go back in time,
Yeah.
I would have started jiu-jitsu as a kid. Because I got the role with Henner Gracie a couple times.
Oh, I love him. Henner's a friend of mine. I love him.
A great human being.
So good.
I
Huron. Yeah.
That I would love it, but also my ego would step in. And if it, because at that time I'm 51, I just knew I would end up hurting myself, and I'm already too hurt. I need to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I rolled with him twice, and I loved it. But every kid who's past 6 years old should learn jiu-jitsu.
Hell yeah.
And they'll never be bullied.
Yep.
You know, and because anytime they come at them, boom, because you know it's all backwards.
Yep.
Like you're fucked. But what were we talking about before? You was talking about smarter.
Yes.
So, starting at 35 was 35 and a half was the hardest thing I ever did. But starting at 35, I was so much smarter because I wasn't going to do that really crazy shit that like Edge is like an inch shorter than me, but he's up 17, 18. He did some amazing, crazy shit.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't do at 40. Now I did a lot of jumping off the top rope and all that shit, but nothing like these guys were doing. Like I'm fearful for the Darby Allins of the world, who I think is one of the greatest. I love that kid.
Yeah, I've watched him wrestle in like little indie shows, and it's magic.
He really is. He's a big star. You can't say too small anymore because Darby's like 5'5.5", maybe 5'6", and he's just he's straight edge, and he anytime that when he's in town, we work out together.
Oh, that's cool.
We did a video on him, and he said, people know I do a lot of, extreme stuff. He goes, but I'm just extreme about how I take care of my body.
Oh, I want to watch that after this. Yeah, that's great.
So for you, if you're really going to do it, for starters, I just had stomach surgery. I got a link, so I don't have reflux anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm 2 weeks in. Beginning of November, you need to come out and train with me for a week.
Oh.
You come out. I got Ted DiBiase. That's this October 16th. Rudy, the Rudy, guy from Notre Dame. Rudy, the real guy, is coming in for 5 days. In the middle of that, Ted DiBiase and his wife Melanie are coming in for a week.
I'm gonna throw
Mark
up.
Merrow coming in on the tail end of that. And my house is like, I call it the recovery crib.
Yeah.
And it just gets people on the right track.
Yeah.
From eating to training, because my stuff is the tool that keeps you from getting hurt.
Right.
Is it going to completely nullify injury? Of course not. But can it make it where, like, I don't know how many guys went down in the NFL last week, but it was a lot.
Yeah.
And those guys, that injury right there, unless they are at the most elite level, they're done.
Yeah.
Like their career is now over. And the NFL just cuts you loose. Like there's no guaranteed pay. So
yeah, you can't go be a manager suddenly and with your stable of strippers.
Right. The bottom line is how do you? I call it preventative maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
And if you come out here, Jamie, I have a hyperbaric chamber, and I don't mean just hyperbaric chamber. I have the highest end hyperbaric chamber that you could have. I got infrared sauna, steam room, hot tub, cryo machine,
Yeah.
inversion table.
Oh my God. My buddy works for the WWE, and I told him I was doing this interview, and he goes, "This is the beginning of your documentary, man." And then the second you said you got to come out and train for a week, I was like, "This is the beginning of the documentary. This is the beginning of me." And by the way, I had the same mentality you had with the when O'Reilly told me, DDP was 35. I go, instead of seeing that, an old me would have been like, "Oh, I'm fucked. That's the bar." But with that attitude that you wrote about in your book, with that attitude that we've been talking about, is I go, great. So I get to be the first 38-year-old. Like that'll be my fucking story. And like, that'll be that. Well, I could talk to you about wrestling for fucking ever, but I will let you go. I'm 100% going to come out if
real. I don't say shit I don't mean.
in a heartbeat. Cause I was going to come. My uncle owns this big restaurant, cause you're in Georgia, right?
Yep, Atlanta.
Oh my God. Yeah. Bacchanalia is my fucking uncle. So
okay.
I'll get to, and I've never been there, and I hear it's very nice. So yeah. Oh my God. I have so many reasons to fucking go there. Okay. I'm excited. I'm rambling. I'm going to hang up before I ruin this. Thank you so much, man. And honestly, I never have people on the show that I either don't think I'm going to be friends with, or like, I don't have just random people on to like hawk their book unless like that book has helped me. But what you're doing is so fucking important. And it's really cool, man, because you didn't have to do it either. Like, Hall of Famer, whatever. It's not like you're trying to just like hawk a side hustle. You're legitimately saving people. And yeah, we need more of that, man.
Hey, man, to me, I tell everybody about, because depression, especially right now, is such a pivotal thing. Trapped in your homes, job loss. I mean, the list goes on and on and on right now.
Yeah.
And where we're going to be, a year from now. The bottom line is, all you can do is control what you can do.
Yes.
And if you help somebody, like I have the greatest, I've created, I tell kids and adults all the time, find something you love to do and figure out a way to get paid to do it.
Yep.
That's the American dream. You do it every day. I do it every day.
Yep.
When you can really, like with your podcast, make a difference, when you can really help somebody, there's no greater feeling, because it makes you feel good about you.
Yep.
And that's what everything I do, I look at, how do I feel about me? Like, I never have to think going to bed, oh God, I wish I didn't fuck that person over.
Right.
Because I'm not gonna.
Right.
If I tell you something, I'm gonna do it. And that's the way it is.
Oh, well, dude, you're the fucking best. I'll promote everything before and after and give the links and stuff like that. But just thank you so much, man. And then, yeah, I'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right. So dig this. Really look at your schedule. I'm going to look